Welcome back to the CCPD remote work strategies. Actually, I feel like in this episode or in this segment, we're going to be talking about work strategies that you can use for both working remote as well as if you're in the office. But since we are now, most of us working remotely or in some capacity, so we wanted to make sure that we gave tips on creating that work-life balance, having a schedule. And so I'm going to kick it over to Cindy Strathman to be able to kick us off with the initial strategies for working remote.
Well, when my mindset for people that worked remotely was you never know what they're doing. They are probably not working as hard as they are in the office. But since we have become remote, I have found out that the opposite is actually true. I feel like it is much easier to overwork when you're at home. Everything is right there all the time. One thing that I'm trying to do is to develop a 15-minute shutdown routine, something that I do that signifies that it is the end of the day. So I'll look at what I've accomplished that day. If I need to transfer anything onto the next day, I'll put it on my Outlook calendar as a task to do. I make sure that I'm looking a day ahead at scheduled events, scheduled meetings, those kinds of things that are set in stone, and then have like 3 additional tasks that I want to complete for the next day. They're on my calendar, so when I close my laptop and open it the next day, I know exactly where to start. Susan, what do you think?
I have found that it is easier to set a routine, to maintain regular, flexible work hours, and let family know what those work hours are. And keep in mind that people are more aware of time working remotely. I found what works best for me is I like to start the first 15 minutes to half hour of my day. I make a list of what I'd like to accomplish. And the end of my day, same thing. Last half hour, 15 minutes, I'm rechecking emails and making a list for the next day. When we first came home, I was leaving my laptop on till like 9, 10 o'clock because I felt like, people didn't have those set hours. That is very meaningful, and people do need to know when you're on and when you're off.
I also have a routine I always have. The first thing I do in the morning is I will check my calendar, especially on Mondays, to see what is scheduled for the week. If there's any meetings that I feel that I need to prepare for more, I will start to do that. And then during the day, I keep myself organized. I do have check sheets. I have spreadsheets. I do color code my spreadsheets, but that's just for me. So I kind of do it so I know which is more important, which I can let go maybe towards the end of the day or the end of the week. And then at the end of the day, once again, daily, I check my calendar in the morning and in the evening. And I usually start at least 30 minutes before I know that I'm going to quit, because I just want to see if anything has been changed. I also want to make sure that I'm prepared for if there's a morning meeting, make sure that I'm ready to go. Any documents that I need, I usually open those up so that they're first thing, so I can open them up quickly the next morning. And then when I clock out, I completely close my laptop, because at first I got to where I would leave it open. I would, if I knew an email would pop in, I would go and instantly respond to it, regardless, anytime before I went to bed. So I did find myself working continually throughout the night, and I've quit doing that. At 4 or 5 o'clock, when I clock out, I'm done. I close my laptop and I'm finished. So I think it's beneficial to stay in a routine, because then that way you're not going to get burnt out. You cannot continually work constantly. You need that time to yourself. You need that time for your family. And so I think it's wise to stay in a routine.
Great tips. I'm the same. I create lists. I got all, kind of old school, write things down in order to make sure that I stay on task. know yourself. I mean, if you're the type of person that is the one, like the type of person that's going to continually be working and like not take that break, like Katrina said, it's easy to get burnt out. I found when we first switched to remote, I actually had to take my computer, like put it away and put it in my, in my book bag on the weekend. So it made it more difficult to be able to go in and like check and to do that. Giving yourself, you need those breaks in order to continue to be productive and to, not get burnt out. I also have found, like right now I'm working in my basement and I have 3 little kids. I found that I'll even say, I'll walk up the stairs and be like, all right, dad's home. And then my daughter will come and like run and give me a big hug, just like she would if I were driving home from work. So having those routines and even some of those similarities those things that you were used to be able to switch the mindset from being at work and being at home are important. So you've got to make sure that you know what works for you. And thanks again for tuning into this edition of the CCPD Remote Work. And we'll see you next time.